Alright, here goes the next video on the Super A breakdown. So on this one we're going to start with the front end. So the steering column's got to come off. The console still got to come off. Then I can knock this front end off here. So let's get some tools and get started. Alright, flash forward. Look, I got the front end off. So I got the front end off of it. But I'm not going to leave you in the dark. Let me show you what we had to do to get it off. It's not that much to it. They actually designed these to where they come apart pretty easy. So, you know, they designed these tractors to come apart fairly easy, other than when things get old and rusted together. So pretty much on this tractor, as you can see, my steering shaft rod hole there. Right here's the steering shaft in my hand. And at the bottom of it, there's your worm gear. There's a bearing, a nut, and a keyway that I took off, which was a bitch to get out in that hole. Come to find out, I really didn't have to take all that bearing stuff off. Once you have to take the steering wheel off. It's just a Woodruff key. It comes right off. I beat it with a hammer and it came right off. So once you get the steering off, let me set this down. One thing, bag and tag everything that you do. So the next step is there's a cap with about an inch and I think it's an inch and 1/16, an inch and 1/8 socket, and it threads on. It goes right here on this front end. So pretty much that cap is right here. You unscrew that cap, then you start turning the steering wheel, and that worm gear thread right out, and then you slide that steering shaft right out the front. So once the steering shaft's out, that's out of the way. You ain't got to worry about the steering being on. Then the next thing to pull the front end off, well, actually the next thing would be is you got to get your two tie rods out. You pull the key out, whichever hole it's in, you unscrew the cap, then the tie rod, the ball joint will slide over and fall out. You move the other little piece over, it'll come out, fall out, and they'll come right off. Then the last thing you would have to do at that point would be the front axle pin. Look how long that sucker is. And this is the one that not all tractors have. This is only on the heavy duty front end, has this bar. Not every tractor has that bar that goes and hooks to the frame right here. So this pin goes right in that front hole. I'm gonna put it back in for a second. So it would go in, and the two bolts there. So you take them two bolts, this would come down, slide that right out. It wasn't that easy for me. All this was okay. All this was good. It was stuck right here. So you can notice, let's come down to this. Where that pin was, you could tell all that dark coloration. I had to put some heat to it. Once I got the heat on it, I started beating it with a hammer back and forth. I got it spinning back and forth, worked it with a bar. Eventually got that thing to slide out. And there's the complete front end. I just rolled it around behind the back of the tractor here. It's laying on the floor. Once that pin come out, I will take all that apart and work on it down the road. Right now we're going for the motor. We want to get the motor off the tractor and we'll go from there. So that's the front end. You can see, it's really not that heavy to be. You'd think that heavy duty front end would be pretty heavy, but it's not that bad. I'm gonna say maybe, yeah, with the tires and all, maybe 150 pounds, maybe 2 at the most. But he came off and we rolled her over there. So now that the front end's off, pretty much the next step that I need to do is I'm going to get pretty much the steering box. This is the radiator support that holds the radiator, the front end. This actually bolts, this is a piece that bolts straight to the motor block with these big ass bolts. You got one here. I've been having to clean all this grease and mud out. So I'm gonna start cleaning this up while it's still on the tractor. It's easy to get to right here. I'm gonna scrape it all off before I pop them loose. I gotta clean these holes out here. They're full of crap and stuff. So you can see, because the motor block is part of the framework. This is part of the framework. So this is pretty much the whole tractor. So I'm gonna get this all cleaned up and scrape some of this stuff off, get these bolts loosened, and then we'll take this piece here off the front. I'll show you when we get to that point. One thing I've learned on this tractor, every nut and bolt's different. They don't have the same nut. I don't know if it's someone else has had this apart before, or I can't believe that they made different bolts for all four of them. You'd think they'd be all the same. So it wasn't 7/8. That one up here is 7/8. Now I'm jumped up to a 15/16. Bottom was a 15/16, top was 7/8. That don't even make sense. Woo! Yep. 75 years probably since that sucker's been off. Holy crap! Oh. So yeah, here's a bolt back there. I don't know if you can see, I put the wrench on it right here. That bolt goes, and it's 7/8. So what's going on is the head of the bolts are 7/8, the nuts are larger. That's the reason the difference in the two sizes. Now I got the two top ones. Unfortunately on this side I got an alternator bracket that's right in front of that bolt. I'm gonna take that alternator bracket off. Alright, I got the 3 out. I'm down to the last one. I don't think it has a nut on it because it runs straight into the hydraulic pump. Oop. That's right, smaller socket head, not nut. Oh yeah! Holy crap, it's heavier than you think it is. Holy crap. Whew. Look at that knee. Whew. It landed right there on all that nasty shit. Damn. That's about 150 pounds right there, buddy, if not more. So there we have it. We got that big monstrosity of a steering box and front end mount off. Like I said, about 150 to 200 pound piece. A lot more than I thought, but we got it off. As you can see right here, we got a breakout. That's been that way for a while. Because a long time ago, I remember when I had to replace that hose, that piece was missing. Just so happens, you can put the hose on and you can get the clamp right around here. So it didn't leak. As long as you had that clamp all the way up here, you're good. The two or three bolts there that hold this piece on, maybe, who knows? I might be able to find that piece. They may have it. I got a little spot that may have that. I'm gonna try to get it. And I'll replace it if they got one. So the next thing before I can get to these bolts here to get this motor off, we need to get this breather out of the way, which I've already broke loose. Ain't but 2 bolts and 1 clamp. This is the old oil bath breather. You got oil in the cup here. Tube goes down, has sucked through the oil through that honeycomb mesh in there, and then all the dirt settles in the bottom of the cup. You clean the cup out so you never have to put another filter on it. Just put new oil in it. I'll go through deeper a little bit and show you when I clean her up and paint it. There it is, comes right off. Next, before I split the motor, I'm gonna get this starter out of the way. I don't think it's gonna hit anything, but there's no sense of beating it up trying to get it out. I've already got them broke loose also. What a nose. It's got some wear on it. Well, it's a heavy old starter. The teeth are really sharp right here on the end where it engages. Let's spin it up there a little bit. Luckily right here in Daytona, we've got a shop that'll rebuild that. Actually, I've seen starter just like that sitting on the shelf, so he may even have it already. Next, we need to get this transmission to flywheel belly pan. Ooh, for all kinds of crap. It ain't too bad though, for that age, I guess. So at this point, now that that's off, we're ready for this motor to come out. So right up here's the bolt, top bolt on this side of the block. These two are already out from that brace. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this one out and we'll move to the other side and the motor should come out. Got 3 bolts left on this side. Already got them loosened up. I think I might get out of the way just in case something does funky happen and break. I wouldn't think it would. I picked the whole front end up with the hoist. With everything on it, it held it, so it ought to hold the motor by itself. Alright, she's out. Nothing holding the motor in there. Let me reposition. So looking at the book, I see the rod that runs down the bottom back to your pedal. You see that hole up here at the very top, then the throwout bearing, and then this is the ear to the clutch and pressure plate. The spline goes right on into the back of the motor, so I don't see any reason why that can't pull straight out. There's nothing that should be grabbing and holding it. Right above the starter, there's the pin that runs across that holds that throwout bearing. So let's split them in half and see what happens. Hope they don't hit the floor. Get it just right. So it's out of there. Now we'll see how my little rack builds here. Let me move you over this. See it, like that sunlight don't mess it up. There we go. About that. That rolls back nice. I think I'm gonna put me some straps on that so that don't slide off that. That's gonna be a mess if it does. First, that's gonna sit there nicely, I hope. We'll get this on the engine stand. I'm gonna get this clutch off, I guess, first. Let's give you all a spin look. Six bolt. You know, that damn pressure plate looks nice. I might just put me a new disc in there. I don't see nothing wrong with that.
Also, resulting car being towed and impounded. A Fox 35 update now. An American citizen is traveling back from Turks and Caicos. He was one of 5 Americans, including a woman from right here in Orlando, arrested at the airport for having loose ammunition in their time. But after more than 100 days on the island, Ryan here was allowed to leave and his return to
Glassy, but not real bad.
The judge suspended his sentence for 1 bullets in her back. The suspended sentence may be a good sign for Greer this week.
So we got the motor on the engine stand. It's off the tractor. There's the clutch disc, pressure plate, flywheel. And what's left of the tractor. It came off pretty easy. So that's gonna be all for this one. Till next time.